Is a lovely day here in the Pacific Northwest, and I am going to be drawing today using my iPad and a program called Endless Canvas, but it's also labeled as Infinite Zoom. It's a little confusing it's made by the company Endless Canvas, and that's what you upload from the App Store, but then when it's on your phone, it's called Infinite Zoom. So, really cool program, and I'm going to share with you how I use that. I kind of wait for a few people to get on here. I draw digitally and I share everything I know. I am trying to build up my YouTube channel with followers that are interested in making art. I've made a lot of different kinds of art in my life. I've sculpted, I've painted, and drawn on paper and canvas, and used all the real life tools, the non-digital tools. Although digital is real life, but I think you know what I mean. So I've done a lot of different kinds of art, and I am happy to share everything I know because why not? Art makes people happy. Creating things makes people happy. I'm hoping to get to a certain level of followership on here and a certain number of hours under my belt so that I will be able to offer my books for sale on my YouTube channel. So that's coming soon because I'm getting close to that level. You don't really need that many people following you, but I have a little over 800, almost 900. And you do need to have 3,000 watch hours, and I'm up at about 20. I'm at 2,800 plus. And so I've only got a couple more 100 watch hours to go. So I'm looking forward to that happening pretty soon. And so I am working today on a historical fashion, infinite zoom drawing. And I'm going to flip my camera in a minute, but I just want to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today, which is I'm going to show you how I draw. I'll just be drawing here. I'll be working on details. But before we get started, I want to explain a little bit about how I research. When I went to college, my emphasis was, what I first studied was my emphasis was illustration. And I took a few intense summer courses with a teacher named Dave Pasalacqua. And what we would do is fly down to Florida. He and his family had some condos outside of Disney World. And he had worked for Disney for a short time, years and years before when he was younger. But he loved illustration and photography. And he would have these intensive summer courses. So you would go down there, fly down there to where he had his school, he had a studio, and we would draw, excuse me, we would draw from a model that was in the studio part of the time. And the rest of the time, he would pile us very illegally. Like he would pile 20 students inside a van. We'd be, hanging off the rafters inside the van, no seatbelts. It's a while ago. And drive us to Disney World and Epcot Center. And then we'd have our drawing pads and our backpacks. There was very little digital art going on at that time. I had taken a beginning computer class, and that was back in the 90s. But it had nothing to do with this intensive. This was all drawing on paper with pens and pencils and so forth. And so we would have our backpacks full of our drawing materials, supplies, and we would be carrying books like this. This is the Grammar of Ornament. We would also make our own postcard books where basically everybody had their collections. They would have artistic stamps or artistic postcards, and we would keep them all in the little postcard carrier, like like old-fashioned mini photo albums, so that we'd have those references, like our favorite paintings or our favorite artists, imagery. And then we would have reference books like this, because the idea was to go out in this very rich visual setting, either Disney World or Epcot, where you have, not only do you have backdrops that were designed by professionals with like a specific character scene in front of you, but you'd have like all these people wandering around, and you'd try and capture both. You'd try to capture the backdrop, which could be a country. If you were in Epcot, it could be Morocco. You'd have a backdrop of Morocco or a backdrop of the Stav Church in Norway, and you would draw that. And that is sort of like this beautiful design underneath everything. And then you would try and draw the people walking around, and they don't stop. So you have to capture them in how they are moving. And so that was really an interesting thing to do. Another thing that you could do when you were there, you could do anything you want with your drawing, but another thing that you could do is just capture all the patterns that you see. And so that's like another version of this. This is like you're carrying the patterns around in your backpack, or you could be looking at them. So the idea of those workshops were to combine research with your actual drawing. So you're going to look up historical references, or maybe you're going to look up famous artists from the past, or you have one of those books in your backpack with you. This was before you could just Google everything, look up images on Google, or have an AI program that could create a historical reference for you. So you were doing it all yourself, as you were walking around with your sketch pad and your backpack full of books. We'd end up carrying around these kind of heavy backpacks because we wanted to have a lot of references with us. So I still do that, but I have such an easier way to do it now, because I can have a computer going in front of me. I have my iPad here, I have my iPhone there, and all of them are connected to the internet, and at a moment's click of a button, I can have Greek pottery up on my screen, or I can look up what animals are associated with Greek gods and goddesses, and I'll have a list of those. And then I can look up what type of armor was worn during the Bronze Age, and it'll bring up, and I'll say use museum references, and I'll all of a sudden I'll have all these images in front of me of Bronze Age collars and shields, and so it's just a really wonderful, rich world that we live in, that is made so accessible through the internet. So I'm going to start drawing, and you'll kind of understand why I did that little lead in before. I'm going to switch my phone now, so you're going to see my condo for a minute in all its clutteredness, and that my lovely little view of the woods out there. Let's see here. I want to go like, whoops. Okay, hang on. It's going to take me a minute to get this. I have a new phone stand, and it looks like this. It's a canvas phone stand, and I like that so it's got a heavy base. It's got an arm that moves. It's got this type, oops, sorry. It's got this type of a kind of a ball joint. See if I can focus in there. I might be too close. Hopefully you can see it. It's got a ball joint there, and you just push it and it rolls. There's a little ball in there. And then this, so let's see, I want my phone to be flat, so I'm gonna put it like that. And then it's got a magnetic plate here that my phone attaches to. And I don't remember putting any kind of a circular magnet on the back of my phone. Yeah, I did not. There's a place that it just wants to latch on to. So I think it's built into the iPhone. And I'm going to come down here just a little bit, get my screen going. Okay. Here we are. So I also wanted to do just sort of a little bit of whoops. I'm going to get this a little bit more square. And then, oh, I just realized let me go this way. We'll see. I may end up having to do my iPad like this because of how things are orientated on this program. This program is really set up for this is it. This is the program. This is set up for 16 wide by 9, like a horizontal orientation. This program is set up that way. You can't like switch it and go tall. The tools don't turn. The tools are always set up in this way. So the screen, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The program itself is endless paper. It doesn't have any borders to it. So I will probably, because I'm going to be drawing like in this orientation, but the phone is in this orientation, it won't let me do well, will it? Oh gosh. I think once you start, you have to stick with it. I've done the horizontal orientation before, but it's a little bit problematic. So we'll stick with this. And as people join, I'll just zoom in and out to show everybody what's going on. See if I can move this out a little bit so it's out of my way, and yet move that down. Oh, I know how I'll do that. There we go. And now I'm going to tighten this down so it doesn't wiggle too much. Whoa! Looks like we've got everything we need going on here. Okay, so back to the referencing that I'm doing and back to a little bit of this program. This is an infinite zoom program, and this is a historical fashion drawing that I'm going to come up with here. So it starts here in the Neolithic period, and I kind of have a very rough map. Let me go to my timeline list. I have a very rough map of what I'm thinking of doing, and the list goes like this. I'm going to start with the Neolithic woman, and I'm going to use a dark-skinned, blue-eyed character that I learned, or person that I learned about. I call my drawings characters, but there was a period in time when the anthropological data is telling us that there were dark-skinned people with blue eyes, and that genetic has made its way into our modern day, but it's very rare now, whereas there was a period of time where it was not rare. And so I thought that was really interesting. So I thought, well, I'll make my first person kind of dark skin with blue eyes. And so that's the Neolithic woman. Then I'm going to have a Bronze Age woman. And I want to say that I studied I have I'll just show you really quick here. I have my computer screen here for my orientation. Yeah, orientation is locked. Um, rotate device back. I did. Okay. Okay. Can you please stop doing that? Okay. Just going to make sure I don't have a technical error going on here. There we go. It didn't like it. It turned it sideways, and it doesn't want to, YouTube doesn't want you to change your format once you start. And so it's giving me a warning to change it back. So there we go. I've changed it back. So my list, and I'm at a bit of an angle because of my setup right now. The Neolithic woman is first, and then the Bronze Age woman. And I'm over here. The reason I wanted to show you, I've got my computer screen here because occasionally you'll see me reaching around my screen here, and that's what I'm doing. I want to look up the Minoan culture. Let's see, Minoan history. I think it was, my reference was the Minoan civilization. And I was surprised at the detail that it seems like they had on their skirts in particular. And all of I actually struggled a little bit with this one, and I'll talk about it when I get there. And then the next is going to be an Egyptian woman, which I have worked on. And then after that, I'm going to have a Greek classical era. You see, I've got an arrow here. I'm going to go into a Greek drawing, and I want to make these all really fashionable. And then I'll probably do the Madonna at about the 1st century BCE. And then I'm going to move over to a Freya Norse goddess. And then I'm going to do a medieval drawing with a dragon, and then a Renaissance woman, an Elizabethan woman, an African queen, Amina, who was at about that time. She'll come before the Elizabethan. And then I'm going to do a Spanish historical figure that feeds into my fashion ideas. And I have to research that more. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So I did another list here. Neolithic, Bronze Age, Egypt, Greek, Madonna, which would be also sort of, so that would be the Middle East, Freya, which is Norway, medieval, Renaissance, Africa, Elizabethan, and then I'm going to write Spanish somewhere in here. And I can go way beyond that. So I did start this a while back with this cat drawing, and I've abandoned this one because I realized I got too far ahead of myself on the, now I have to find where my drawing is. So I'm going to go here to my, thank you everybody for stopping by. I'm going to go here to my bookmarks on this drawing, and I'll just show you a couple things. This is the timeline list that we were just talking about. Here's the global view, and it's got everything that I've drawn, but it's so small I can't even see it. So I'm going to go to the origin. This is where I started the drawing. I have since abandoned this drawing. I'm going to go to the last painted. And there's the beginning of the drawing that I actually want to turn into an infinite zoom video. And this is my Neolithic woman, who you see has dark skin and blue eyes, because that I found really interesting. I didn't know that they had figured that out about our history. And that was a Europe-based finding. It was, I'll have more details when I make the video. I'm going to have to go back to all my notes. I don't have my notes open right now. Anyway, that's going to be part of my video, is to explain how I came up with the images. And then I went to the Minoan culture. And okay, I want to tell you, I struggled a little bit on this one. So let's zoom in to that Minoan figure. What I was really attracted to was these supposedly, and I haven't detailed this all out, I've just sort of roughed in the skirt and the colors. I could go into a lot more detail. Um, this was kind of shown on carvings that are from the Minoan history, uh, archaeological um, artifacts. And so these really elaborate skirts with sashes, and then something that covers the arms that ties into the rest of it, were very common. The only thing I didn't depict here, in case I have kids on the channel, they were all bare-breasted. But I didn't draw mine that way because I do tend to attract young folks, and I don't want them to, have up on the screen something that would be upsetting to their parents or something. So I did a little artistic license there. But this is a Bronze Age person, and so I have included a lot of jewelry that I actually saw a bunch of Bronze Age artifacts when I went to Ireland last summer. So I know this stuff all existed, and it's very fun to figure out how to incorporate it into my drawing now. And so then I'm going to move in to the Egyptian age. And this is the drawing I worked on last night. I still have a lot of things to work out here. And that's where my Grammar of Ornament book is going to come in. And I'm looking forward to coming up with some plants that you see in Egyptian artifacts that have been left behind, and it has survived. So as we look at what she's holding, she's actually holding a crystal. I'm going to have her holding a crystal ball with a Greek vase and a cat inside of it. And I have barely started this. I actually started detailing out when I was watching TV the other night. These were very time consuming, these little details. And I just needed to do something mindless. And so I worked on all of that. I did not work on figuring out what this is going to look like, making that this is going to be a falcon. This is going to be an ibis bird. I should look up how you pronounce that. And this is going to be a baboon. They're so rough. I just sketched them in so I would remember what I want to draw here. Each of these represent Egyptian, let's see, this is Greek gods and goddesses. And so I'll have all of those details included in my video too. But I could mindlessly work on this stuff the other night, so that was pretty fun. And then last night, I really worked a long time on this face and tried to give it an Egyptian look in the eyes and the nose. And then I started looking closely at some pottery that was left behind that has some painted figures on it. And there is some really cool stuff that references that these headdresses are probably, it appears they're probably very wavy hair that you would associate, with African people. And it was just, really gorgeous in this one. I wonder if I can find that reference. Greek pottery museum. I like to put the word museum in so that I get genuine Greek pottery. Oops. women in Greek pottery museum is what I'm searching. And I'm hoping that the image that I was thinking about will pop up here. And I can show you. It's not. Maybe it's over here. Okay, so I'm just putting in some other keywords to see if I can bring up this image that I saw yesterday. And it was Greek pottery. I think I've got the word, I think I'll take out the word pottery, because maybe it was a different reference. Okay, well, I'll have to give that up. Anyway, I will find that reference and I'll show it to you another time. But it had the hair was very, very big like this, but at the end, it was clearly not a block like you often see in Egyptian. It would have been, I'll just draw for you how it was right here. It just basically showed the hairs all coming down like this, like you see at the end of someone with, at the ends of the locks of someone with really curly hair, really wavy curly hair. And so I thought that was quite interesting, and I think I'm going to incorporate that idea into my drawing. So that's the Egyptian, which comes before the Greek. That's my problem. I'm sorry. I just used the wrong reference when I was searching women in Egyptian pottery. Oh, I think I'm getting very close to where I saw it. I'm going to also put in the word museum because I'm getting a bunch of Etsy things. I don't want that for my imagery. And I'm going to take out pottery. Oh, this is getting close to it, but not exactly. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing here. So I'm over here. Thanks for hanging with me through that. I'm over here and I've put in women in Egyptian paint. I'm going to put painting in. We'll try that, see if that helps get us. So all of these images are helping me. They're feeding me ideas. I don't copy anything you know, but I definitely get inspired. So here they're alluding to what I'm talking about, which is this really wavy hair. You see how the shoulder shows underneath that? And 18th dynasty. Huh. Yeah, I don't know how legit that reference is, but it is what I am referring to. That look of the super wavy hair, and that these kind of large, big hair things are really more about hair than they are about helmets or, you know, headdresses or scarves. It's really about hair, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's see if it's over here. Here again is that image that kind of speaks to it. Deny, just deny. Here we go. Look at that. Those almost look like dreads. Whoops. See what else we can find here. That's about it on this site. Anyway, you kind of get the idea of what I was talking about when I say I want to. I love this. Let me show you this in case you just joined me. This is my new Canvas phone stand, and it's so easy to just pop my phone on and off. It's gonna change how I do lives. I'm like so loving this. This is so great. So anyway, here is the drawing that I'm working on today. Just double checking my chat. Move this a little bit, maybe here, at a little bit of an angle so you can see me working on this drawing. So I'm thinking I'm gonna switch over. I wanna solve this Greek figure. I'm gonna put in Greek female figure and look at some imagery. Artifact. Okay, so that's what I want, is I want to actually look at how things were depicted back in these times, and the only way that I can see it is through artifacts. And then, of course, when you're searching through the internet, you have to search through what is real and what is something that has nothing to do with a museum piece. So that's interesting. That's kind of what I'm looking for, is like how is the cloth draped? Oh, wow. I think that this is probably not. That's a Facebook thing. Metropolitan Museum of Art. Let's go there and see what we can see. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm looking for right here. This feeling of drapery. So I'm going to go back to my drawing, and I'm going to work on this figure. First of all, I think that I want to figure out what layer I'm on. I have made the mistake of drawing all on the bottom layer. You see here I've got my layers, And I'll show you where I kind of made a mistake when I get there. But for right now, what I want to do is I want to create, I'm going to use my eraser to kind of carve out, get on this layer here, use my eraser and carve out the head a little bit. I don't know what the hairstyle is going to be, so I'm not even going to work on that. I want to look at overall, how do I want my neck to go? I think that line is wrong. I think that line is wrong, and I think this line goes too far back. So, oops. Use my eyedropper to choose that gold color. Go back to my thin line. So here, I want the back to come up like this, the neck, and then the head to go like that. So I like to kind of carve out as I go. What is it that I'm trying to do? Is that head too big? I think the head, you know, I'm going to do a hairstyle here somewhere, so I'll just kind of downplay that a little bit. And then I'm going to bring this line down a little bit and see if I can make a Greek looking profile. It feels like all of this needs to be down farther. And I can't, like, this program doesn't allow me to like cut and move and paste. I have to redraw it. That is probably the only thing I don't. I mean, there's a lot of things that are very, very archaic about this program. But it seems to be the case on all of the Zoom programs where you're trying to do an endless, let me just put in a couple, let me put in a center line for the eye. Let's put in the bottom of the nose, the lip. See if that works better. That works a little bit better for me. And so again, I'm going to have to like kind of carve this out after I draw a lot of lines and then decide I don't like them. That's kind of what I do. I'm just going to leave those for the moment while I work out the eye. Okay, so I know a few things. I know I'm going to, oops, use my eraser. I know I'm going to get rid of that. So let's get rid of that right now. I know that the eye is going to have some dimension to it. a little bit there. And the eyebrow. It's going to live somewhere like that. And then this is kind of like I carve away with digital. I use my eraser and I kind of carve away the things that aren't necessary. I might do that here, just to clean it up a little bit so I can judge if I need to change anything. So we'll get rid of that, doesn't need to be out there. Okay, now the neck is too far forward. Interesting. So let's change that a little bit. Let's get rid of that. Everything's too far forward. So so you're seeing the downside of this program. So I want my neck, we'll carve this away later, about here. That would mean the chest is actually going to be back here a little bit. Will that work? Oh, that actually will work. And then I'll move this part of the neck a little bit back to where I had it in the beginning. So let me explain to you what's going on in my mind by using my eraser. I'm just going to check the comments. Some folks, thanks for stopping by. I'll get rid of these lines that don't work anymore. So I think I'll have this leg in front because that arm is back. That would be a natural way to walk. So this foot is going to be farther back than this foot. These are really, I'm so roughing this in at this point. So I want this foot here. And so let me carve out what I have in my mind here too, so you can see. Just trying to bring that up a little bit. So those legs are starting to feel a little bit more real. Give her more booty here. Make that leg work a little bit better. These are all just, I'm going to end up drawing on another layer on top of this. This is just so that I understand what the body's doing underneath. And now if I start layering some clothes on here, let's bring that back just a little bit and then carve it out. So if I start layering clothes up here, like if I have, let's say this will not be, I'll just change a color here and then I'll hit the back button. But just to give you the idea, what I'm thinking is the clothes might go like this, kind of like that example I was looking at. It was very beautiful flowing. And so I'll want to have a little bit of room here to define that. And so if I can get this arm a little bit farther away, I mean, I might not really change where it's at actually. It works, it feels natural. So you start to get a feeling of where I'm going with this character here. Let me just for a moment, oops, my Apple Pencil, I'm gonna charge it while I look again over here at my computer. I'll take you off and let you watch me search. I want to search for hairstyles of Greek women. Ooh, that's pretty interesting. Can I make that bigger? Not one-handed. So let me do this. Let me just set my phone up. I have to get it so the phone will stop. There we go. I will just go ahead and do a little searching here. And when I find something interesting, I need two hands is what I'm trying to say. Whoops, shift, control plus. Why is it getting smaller? Okay, I'll go minus then. Okay, it'll only go so big. So let me use my snipping tool. This is not to save this or anything. It's just to get it bigger. Here we go. I just want to zone in on that. Wow. Really wavy hair again, just like we saw in the Egyptian, but not as thick. Like much, not as thick. Beautiful. The thing about the Greeks, okay, and that's his wonderful profile that I can look at here. So that's really that's really interesting. So it looks like there's sort of a bun and then there's some hanging down, not unlike a lot of styles we see nowadays. Let's see what else we can find. Wavy. I'm not seeing anything super fancy about those. That one looks a little bit fancy. Okay, I'm going to go to a different site where maybe I can zoom in a little bit more. So I'm going to actually ask for Greek woman's hairstyles, historical museum. These are, I'm more likely to get authentic references if I put in those kinds of, oh, that's kind of interesting. This is someone else's fashion era. Someone else has the same idea as me. Of course, nothing is original. Beautiful. Like this looks like interesting. Yeah, really elaborate hairstyles. So I might just go, I have long hair and I've done a lot of braids and hairstyles over my lifetime. I might, uh-oh, we've got some spinning going on here. That's not a good sign. I may end up just thinking in terms of how I put up my own hair and just see how that works out. What else do I see here? Are these from, these look like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It looks like this person study women's hairstyles, Daily Saba. Okay, this is them illustrating, and I'm not sure where they're getting their original sketches from. Maybe they went to a museum like I did years ago and sketched things that were in front of me. Okay, so we're going to go back here to the drawing. And I might need some more. It's kind of hazy around here today. So I'm going to double check what layer I'm on. Okay, I'm on this layer. And I've got I don't have my gold pen. I'm going to grab my gold pen. Oh, I know. I was going to hit the back button to get rid of that cloth. That was just to give you an example of what I was trying to do there. And then I think I want to place an ear here. And then I'm going to have to look up. So every time I go to draw something on one of these, I'm like, oh, I need to go look up. What did they do? Oh, see, the jawline is way back from where that ear is. So let me undo that. Let's move this jawline forward. And then, so basically, you would come up like this, and the ear would be about there. Something like that. I'll probably adjust this when I get into drawing the details on the ear. Let me just get rid of a couple lines that I know are not working. Okay, that feels like it's working better. Do a little bit of detailing on, oopsie. That feels Greek to me. I mean, I know there'll be folks in the comments that have suggestions of how I can do it better. And I always like hearing those because it's usually something I hadn't thought of. Feel free. Be kind, please. Just checking my comments. Okay. People come and go on here, and I really appreciate people stopping by. If you find, sometimes people find watching other people draw very relaxing. So if you do, please enjoy yourselves. Welcome, and thank you for stopping by. Okay, let's get some beautiful hair going on here. I think that I want to, first of all, decide if I'm going to have a little fringe bang here, which I might do that. I need to go over here to my pen. So the fringe bang would come down like that. And then, so remember the hair was really wavy as it went back to wherever. So and then let's say it goes into sort of a layered bun of some kind here. This is really rough at this point. So we're going to have this hair is going to come like this. That fringe bangs. I call it fringe. It's bangs. Might start out here a little higher. This will all get refined. I just want to get the feeling. And then, how is that going to feel? If we put this over here, I don't want to cut you off. I like that. I actually could make this a little bit bigger here. So that'll be some sort of, and then I want gravity to make sense here. There. That works better for me. So that is how I'm going to work that out. So I'll come back in and clean this all up, make it actually feel more like hair than these kind of scribbly lines. But this gives the feel of where I'm going. And then I'll do something like this with the ear and detail that out. Probably soften, use my eraser now, do a little bit of carving. Soften that jawline. And maybe do a little bit of outlining. Whoopsie, grabbed the wrong thing. I grabbed the eraser when I actually want the... So the frock will go like that. The frock will the frock have sleeves? I don't think so. I think it might have like a cap sleeve. I'm playing around here. That's not really working for me. Undo, undo, undo. I'm not sure that's working for me either, but it's giving me a feeling of a sleeve right there, so that's okay for the moment as I work this stuff out. And then remember how I did that earlier. So now what I can do is I can actually start to carve this out a little bit. Things that are working, I kind of like to so I want to have a feeling of a bosom, of course. And again, not sure that's working, not working. Undo, 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 undo. All right, so let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. That feels better. So maybe what happens is that this garment crosses over there. Sweeps across her breast area. And this can come down a little bit. I don't need it to be so bulky. And then we can actually like create the feeling of fabric by just making the lines move like that and that. It starts to feel like folds of cloth. So let me show you up here what I mean. So this, oopsie, wrong. This fabric is underneath this fold right above it. Here is a fold of fabric that goes up. And we'll make that a little bit bolder, like that. Then we'll carve out that, whoops. Going a little crazy there, Maggie. Carve that out. So now that feels like fabric folding right there, and we can just keep doing that feeling as we move up here. And then I'll go back with, maybe I'll go back with a little thicker line to create that feel where it's definitely one piece going over another. And that might be distracting, but it might come up a little bit too much. Let me do that. Let's erase that. It was distracting. Whoopsie. Erase. There we go. Better. Okay, so we're getting a feel for how this person, we can get rid of this. So we say, this is fabric flowing over the body. So a lot of times what I'll do when I'm drawing, if I really want to get a lot of picky detail in, what I'll do is when I'm fresh, I'll work out all the stuff I have to think about and work back and forth and focus on. And then when I'm tired at the end of the day, and I want to, listen to a podcast or something, I'll do this. I'll detail out all these little things because it's like I have a pattern. It's kind of mindless. I don't have to think. Just make the little dots, dot, 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 So that's honestly how I end up adding a lot of detail to my drawing, because if this morning while I'm working all this out, if then I felt like, oh my gosh, I've got to detail out all the feathers on the bird, or I've got to detail out all of these, like I'm going to have a bunch of little dots around all of these, but I haven't quite worked that out. And so these are going to be, it's going to look very decorative with a lot of dots, but I'm not going to sit here and do the dots while I'm fresh and I have the patience to work out how the waves on the clothing go, how the folds go. I'm going to spend my time wisely. That's what I'm saying. Stop talking, Maggie. Sometimes you talk too much. Thanks for stopping by. We're working on an endless zoom drawing. I'll just give you a quick look here. I have very rudimentary tools on the side here because this is by Endless Canvas, and it is an infinite zoom tool. And I am doing a history of fashion through this infinite zoom tool. And as you can see, so what I'll do is I'll make a video. You won't see my hand in the video. When I get all done with this, I'll do a video and I'll talk about everything I learned as I was researching the timeline of clothing, women's clothing, and how things might have looked. And I'm trying to use museum sources at this point, and probably will through most of my drawings. So I started with, this is very stylized to how I draw. I tend to be pretty whimsical and colorful. And so this is a Neolithic, interesting person from anthropological history, where it was a dark-skinned person with blue eyes. That I found that really interesting. I'll talk about that when I do my video. And then I moved up to the Bronze Age, and I focused on a Minoan Bronze Age woman who, if you look in the museums, would be bare-breasted, but I'd get kids on here, so I don't want to upset anybody with my imagery. So we're just going to focus more on the face as we zoom in, and all the bronze headbands and hair, barrettes and necklaces, because there were so many bronze artifacts left behind. And then we're going to zoom in here to an Egyptian. We're moving up in time. This is another way to understand history, is to just move linearly across time to the Egyptian era. And what I'm going to do here is, this is going to be very much what I've found in museum references. This headdress hair, I'm still being a little creative with trying to figure that one out. I don't have it totally figured out. This is all going to be plants around this person, but I'm going to make it quite symmetrical. So that one is just roughed out at this point with a pretty well-developed face, but I might do something different with the lips here. I definitely have to detail out the ears and the hair around it. And then we go into where you may have joined me, which is this Greek pot. I am also going to detail out a cat looking at the Greek pot. And this is going to be a crystal ball that my Egyptian woman is holding, looking forward to the Greek period. And then I will go in here, and I may end up, just to put some variety in here, I may end up going like into the falcon's eye, which I haven't even drawn yet. So let's say the eye is here, and I'm just going to zoom in there, and then I will have, notice how the screen went white there? It's kind of nice how it'll do that for you, but you still have to switch among your layers. I'm up on layer 1 here, but there's a layer 4, 5, and 6 below it, which is, I haven't renamed these. And then there's a background layer. So you do have to manage your layers as you go through, but it is kind of cool how Endless Canvas says, okay, you've gone too close for me to believe you are in your falcon drawing. We now think you're moving into another drawing, and they give you a blank screen, which I kind of love about this program. So that's what I'm working on today. And I I also have bookmarks here, and I can show you my very rough notes under the timeline list. I have renamed this bookmark, and I can quickly click on that, excuse me, and it'll take me to my notes where I'm thinking things through. And you saw the Neolithic, the Bronze Age woman, the Egyptian woman, and then I'm going to go and the Greek classical woman, and then I'm going to put that on a piece of pottery, which you saw with the black and gold colors. Then I'm going to do a Madonna around the 1st century BC, and really at the, I said BC, but before Common Era, BCE. And then the Greek classical. And then I'm going to move over to Norway, do the Freya Norse goddess. I'm going to do a medieval dragon. And then I'm going to do an African queen. Amina is a reference here at that character from history looks really interesting to me. I'm probably going to do an Elizabethan character. And then I'm going to go back over and do a Spanish fashion character. And I have a name here that I have to go back up and look up again because I can't even remember what my plan was there. But I do want to go back here to my bookmarks, and let's go to the last painted, which was that right there. And I can move out. I'm just going to check the time here. I've got about 10 more minutes. I think I'm going to go here. And work out some more details on this character. So let's make sure you can see what I'm drawing. I think I'm going to, this elbow looks a little bit high, so this looks a little long compared to that. So I think I need to change that. See what layer we're on. Got to get to the right layer. Grab my pencil in gold and let's make this just a little bit more realistic. And then I'm going to go ahead and carve that out so you can see what my thinking is. Fingers are a little bit long. I like the feel of that, but okay. That feels better. So maybe what I'll do now is work on this hand. I like some things right off about this hand. It's got a graceful feeling to it. I just want to say a couple things as I'm drawing here. In times of stress, whether it's personal stress or social stress or work stress, political stress, there's a woman on Facebook that I follow, and she's mentioned lately that the antidote to stress is to do something joyful. And I agree with her. And so that's kind of what I'm doing, and I encourage you to do that too. Okay, so there, I've got my first finger And then everything kind of builds off from that. So the next finger, which is the middle finger, will be there. And then I might put a little bit of a separation, which I'll carve that out here in a minute. And sometimes I end up, when I zoom in like this, I end up going a little bit too small with a drawing of a hand, and then I have to erase the whole thing on this program and redraw it, but we'll see. I'm sort of carving out what I think is I want to do with this drawing. I know I don't want that hand to be super thick like that. Yeah, the fingers got a little bit short. Interesting. But then this is a little bit long, so I think I'll pull the fingers up a little bit, because this hand from the base of her palm out to her fingertips, you know, should go from her chin up to here. So her hand should really be about up here. So I really definitely need to stretch out these fingers. And then the thumb, I'm just going to let the thumb peek out here. Like that. And then this. It's slowly taking shape. Sometimes I go back and forth on these until I get it. Like now it's getting a little bit fat through there. Don't know why that happened. This needs to go up here a little bit. I almost need, sometimes for me, I need to actually put the nails on so I understand how the fingers are. And that helps me a lot, actually. So then this finger here, like I've got my lengths a little bit off. I need to fix these. Like this one got a little bit shorter. Actually, I'll leave that one. I'm gonna make it a little tiny bit longer. And I'll move this nail down. So let me just play with that. Making it a tiny bit longer. So it's longer than that one. Move the nail down here. There. So then once I've got my placement on these the way I want them, I can kind of let them be and then work out the details later. I wonder if I want that thumb to be a little bit more. Yeah, that works better. That works. See how it takes forever sometimes to get it the way from my mind onto the paper. It just is the way it is. Clean that up a little bit. Clean that up a little bit. That's working for me. Is the hand still too small? No, I might work on that again and redo that hand. It's just like, it really should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're okay head to body size. Hand size should be about the thickness of my finger. Yeah, it's actually still too small. Kind of frustrating that I keep doing that. Yeah. This is, just erase it, Maggie. Just do it. Just erase it. Ah, it's too small. Make it bigger. Yes. All that work I did. Here's me carving it out again. Okay, better. All right, that's what I'm gonna accept. That hand finally feels like it's the right size. That took a while. Okay, and I think we're gonna want her leg showing here, and we'll let the cloth land on the ground behind her. So what happens if we start, so what happens if we start getting rid of some leg lines? Let's see what happens here. My eraser might need to get a little smaller. This part here is not working for me. This sticking out seems a little weird. Let's just figure that one out. I wonder if I just ended up with that. Straight line doesn't work. Yeah. I'll carve that out in a minute. I want to thank everybody for coming by today. I have really enjoyed sharing my drawing time with you. And I am about to head off with my day and enjoy the weather out there. Have a wonderful Saturday, and I will see you on the next one.